Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I'm sitting here listening to music in my meditative space. You know how I get down, usually around this hour. I'm listening to one of the old playlists that I made, and one of my favorite Outkast songs come on, Jazzy Bell. And I'm sitting there listening to him like, that is not how that keyboard goes. I've listened to this song hundreds of times in my life, hundreds, I'm certain. And I know the song like the back of my hand. I listen to music a lot, just like most of us do, but I've kind of made a hobby out of making these playlists. And what I found is that I have a natural gift for music. It's something that I always excelled in, even as a young man. So one of the things that I have that work in my favor is I have, if not perfect pitch, very close to perfect pitch, so I can always hear when something's off, even by the slightest. I'm able to hear it. So it was very evident to me 3 seconds in that this was a streaming era situation. And I get it, I do understand. A lot of the artists do not own their music, so what they're trying to do is redo the music, and in this go round have the rights to the music. But the problem is when they redo the music, they can't recapture the magic. Organized Noise is who I believe produced that song. That was a very unorthodox sound they were using. You can't redo that with a regular keyboard. And some of the rhythms that they were using, some of the drum patterns, they weren't recreated properly. You were listening to different things that just were not even in the song. Now the lyrics and the rhythms of the raps and all of that, Big Boy and Andre, they sound like it was exactly the same. They did their part. I don't even know if they did their lyrics. It sounded like they had just superimposed the old raps on new production. But the production was not a duplicate whatsoever. And that is something I've been hearing a lot about. I've been hearing about it. I knew this was in existence. I think I've come across maybe 2 songs that had been redone that way. But to be honest with you, nothing that I listen to on a regular basis, right? And a lot of the playlists that I have, I listen to the downloaded versions of the songs that I had. So for the longest, some of these playlists hadn't been listened to. Since the streaming era has changed, it's like, I have over 600 playlists. I might not listen to one for 2-3 years. So this one I happen to listen to. I used to listen to a lot, so I know this playlist like the back of my hand. It just so happens I haven't heard it in a while. And they've done this since, so I'm sitting here ready to hear the song. I'm like, all right, I don't know what comes up next. And I start hearing these chimes, and I start hearing these different keyboard sounds. I'm like, what the hell? Like, this ain't the song I put on the playlist. And I'm like, and I start understanding what I'm listening to. I'm like, oh man. Here's what came to mind though. Okay, we're in the streaming era. Guys are doing this. We're also in an era where people are taking their entire collections and selling them for hundreds of millions of dollars. I understand this. There's probably something very lucrative behind all of this. But here's the thing that artists need to very much understand, is something that I see. Something that it's just in my mind's eye. And maybe I'm paranoid as an artist. Maybe I'm just paranoid. But what I think you're seeing is history being rewritten. A lot of these songs that were done a certain way will not be remembered as such because of what it is you guys are doing. And what that does is make it so that your songs over time are not remembered as they actually were. The greatness that you were, that's not going to be what the great-grandkids and the great-great-grandkids experience when they listen to you. So it will be said that your music wasn't as good as it actually was. It will be said that, oh man, y'all was overrated. These are the people y'all was interested in. The Outkast, listen to this music. It wasn't as good. But if they heard the original versions that we were experiencing, what we were actually going toward, they would understand how dope you were. They're rewriting history, y'all. They're knocking the nose off of the Sphinx. They're doing all kinds of stuff to take your likeness, great artists, and rewrite the history of how great you actually were. And you're letting them do it. You're letting them do it. And what they're going to end up doing is taking some of these artists that weren't as good, some of these pop artists that they've made have inflated numbers, and they're going to make it so as if their music was better quality than yours. That is what is happening to you. They're rewriting history for the artists that had great music and great stuff that people fawned to. They're going to try to discredit that and make it as if the machine that they were in always had the substance and it was more credible than it actually is. And you're allowing them to do it by way of ownership rights. The selfishness of wanting to own your ownership rights. The selfishness more or less of wanting to experience the fruit of your labor. They flip that on its axis. Now that you want to benefit from it, they get to tell people you aren't as good as you were. That's how they get the pound of flesh out of you for trying to get your ownership. Now you were never as good. This is why it's important that new artists understand what the hell they're involved in. Know the environment you're in. This is a long-term situation. These people are always in place to turn artists into dollar bills. You gotta understand, it's all about it's a money thing, and it's about leverage plays, and it's about making people look credible over time. And if you are going to allow them to do it, they're gonna do it. They're gonna give you $500 million. They're gonna take your music. They're gonna saturate all the good out of it. They're gonna put all the bad into it, and then from there they get to tell the world, however long, for the rest of eternity, that you weren't as good as you were. You die off. Your money saturates into the world however it does. And that's all it was about. For you, you only have however many years left in life or whatever. You're going to live out your life. You're going to pass your money to your kids, so on and so forth. They're going to do whatever they're going to do with it. But your art and the story and how you made your money and all your legacy and all that stuff that really matters, what will be experienced, the immortality of your art, rewritten. New story. Yeah, you were heralded as great, but you sucked. Here's the music. It wasn't any good. See, listen to that. That wasn't any good. Listen. That's how they're doing y'all, man. You let them do it. So I say, you can't. This is what I have to say about being an artist. As long as you are a slave to the luxuries of benefiting from your art, you will be subject to this kind of shit. There's a difference between wanting to fund yourself so you can put forth the best art, and then just trying to cash out and make yourself rich and luxurious and take care of your family and all these different wonderful things that everybody wants to do. But as an artist, you have to understand that once you throw your stuff into the money machine, you're in a world that is not meant for art to thrive. It's meant to saturate art into nothingness. It kills art. You throw it into the void once you do that. That's essentially what happens. Once it becomes about the money, it's no longer about the art. And it morphs into something entirely different. And it can be artistic in nature, but it's not going to be authentic to the artist. It's not going to hold substance. Whatever your feelings and the vibes and the emotions and the various things that you had in mind when you made it, it no longer becomes that. It becomes about the moment. It becomes about whatever the fad is of the day. They're going to slap a sticker on it or whatever. You understand what I'm saying? They're not going to allow its essence to exist. Not really. And so that's what I'm saying, artists. A lot of us, this stuff matters to us. A lot of this stuff we hope to be immortalized. At the very least, we want the quality of our work to be as is when we leave the earth. We want to be remembered as good as we were, at the very least. Don't paint me out to be worse. I'll tell you right now, anybody that listens to this ATLian CD for the rest of eternity, if that's the only version there is, they're going to think that album sucked. I'm telling you right now, Jazzy Bell ain't no good. It's one of the greatest songs ever made, in my opinion, but the song sucks right now. You listen to it right now, and I'm telling you, it ain't worth listening to. Dope lyrics, trash production. And that is something I would never, ever have said. Listening to Jazzy Bell, are you kidding me? Listen to anything on ATL, that's absurd, that's blasphemous. But it's reality now. You know what I'm saying? They got paid. They got, you know what I mean? They got their money. tell you, man. It's all, and the money gets siphoned out of you some other way. And see, that's how they have to understand. People have to understand. Even if you have to go on after money, unless you can find a way to sit on it, like literally sit on it, you better buy some little real estate, buy some stuff that's gonna hold quality. Invest in yourself so that you can continue to produce. If you're not doing these things, oh man, art's gone, you're gone, and the history's gonna be told that you weren't as good as you were. Simple as that. That's what I'm seeing here. That's exactly what this streaming era enables to take place. And you can just see it. You can see it clear as day. They get to say all of these different machine artists, and I say machine artists meaning these saturated, sometimes very talented, but completely saturated in corporate interests, action figures, basically. Over time, they get to pile these people up, inflate their numbers, and they get to say they were the greatest of all time. Say they were the Motown or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They get to say that they ultimately shaped the music. Well, we know that all you would have to do is listen to the music that came before them. The outcasts and the various artists who since sold their stuff away to make sure their lives were straight for the end of their lives. So they didn't die as starving artists. Now they're going to be looked at as whack artists. While these other guys get to say, we were the Motown. Motown or what? You guys faked the numbers. You gave us garbage music. Half the stuff people didn't like, but a bunch of people in middle America that don't even like the culture that the music comes from. They don't even relate to it, but they bought the music up because it was just more of them than anyone else. Like, this is the reality of the music business. It's more of them than anyone else. That's why a lot of the music just sells more in certain ways, because it appeals to them. If it were more of us, it would be more of that sold. I mean, these things need to be worked into the equation when considering certain aspects of music. This guy sold 130. Yeah, that's because he appeals to a certain sound that appeals to a certain grand majority. Hello. Doesn't necessarily mean that the music was necessarily appealing to the people from which the music was supposed to be catered to in the first place, if you listen to the sound itself, in a lot of cases. And then the sad part is a lot of the riffs, the great riffs that these guys ultimately are removing from their music. These guys are taking and putting into the machine artist sound. That dope jazzy bell riff that was snatched out, someone still owns that. You know it's going into somebody's song. It's going to be in a Selena Gomez song soon enough, trust you me. But you think that riff is gone? No, buddy, it's going to be used again. That's the point. They get to say it was someone else's. And they don't even have to give you the album credit because you sold it. Ta-da! There's always a reason not to do it, man, to sell out. There's always a reason not to sell out, bro. There's always a reason. You're not just taking the money, you're selling your soul every single time. That's how the world works. It's just how it works, man. This is how it works. I've watched this 1.5 million times. And there's somebody who actually cares about his art. Nah, man. I'd rather find my money another way. That's honestly how I feel as an artist. I'd rather get my money another way. I don't know how, but a different way. I don't want my money to come from the art because I want the art to be the art. I don't want you to have any leverage over it. I want to be able to give it away for free or $1 trillion. Price tag. Each painting, $1 trillion. And keep it there. Because it's art and there's no price tag on it. I'm watching people sell ugly shoes for way priced up. I'm watching Kanye sell me rags that I see people wear on the street for way priced up. Why? Because it's art and he can do that. Same here. White tee, $700. Why? Because it's art. Say it's not. You don't like the price tag? Don't buy it. You know, and that is the right of the artist. But you don't have that right when you start selling your art. That's the problem. You know, so the key is to try to find a way to spread the message without needing the investment. And no one's figured that out yet. No one's figured that out yet. Some people have come close. That's why I admire the young boy and be a young boy, because it seems like he was able to gather so much of a following before his investment money came. You know, I'm watching some of these other youngsters like Yeet, some of these other guys that are outside of my culture that I don't follow, but they're able to gather just attention just off of sheer consistency, you know? And I kind of like, I look at what Yeet is doing. I'm gonna be honest with you. That young fella, looking at how he's building his music, it's kind of how I've patterned my art mindset. It's like, okay, I know I suck when I start, but if I do this a trillion times in a row, I can get decent or maybe even good at it. And that's what I think that kid is doing. He's taking that pattern to where a lot of people who follow him say, yo, his music wasn't very strong at first, but the young fella kept being ridiculously consistent, aka Lil Wayne, aka Swiss Beats, people like that who just continued at it no matter what, just boom, 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 keep at it, and eventually work their way up to a space where people recognize him to be top of their craft. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I approach what it is that I'm doing. You know what I mean? I think you can be inspired by anybody, just understanding what it is they're doing and how they move. But nevertheless, that's the point. It's like, hopefully young fellas like that, they own their stuff. They're not following this process. Don't let nobody take your art, turn it into whatever. Saturate all the energy out of it, whatever, man. Nah, no, don't sell out. You know, don't find a way, if at all possible. And a lot of times, people get backed into different things financially. You know, we're in a country where half your money goes to taxes. So I'm pretty sure people are backed into certain situations. They don't have a choice. And they probably hate themselves for doing what they had to do. But what you got to understand is what it is that you're actually allowing to take place. Whatever artistry that you provided this world, it's no longer yours in the event that you actually sell out. Yeah, it's yours because you took the money. Yeah, you bought, you know. But once that likeness is gone, once you take that art and you let it go to the machine, you gotta understand that they're not only making money, they're writing history. But you gotta understand, you the artist, are, if in the event you're selling out, that's a short-sighted point of view if it's something you desire to do. In comparison to what it is that person who's buying it off you is thinking, I guarantee you, they got 10 times more moves that they're thinking about than what it is you're trying to do when you sell your art to these people. And you gotta wonder why they would spend so much money on your catalog, whoever you are. You gotta understand, they want $500 million for a catalog of music. I was listening to a song, I don't remember who it was, said, yeah, I sold mine for $350. I'm like, you gotta understand, they plan on making 3-4 times that. If not, then that's how much whatever it is they got planned to do with your art means to them. Man, you don't know how wicked people can be. You don't know what their moves are. I'm keeping my art in my family if at all possible. If at all possible, whatever it is, it's got to stay with us. Now, if they want to give it away, do something after I'm gone, I ain't got no part with that. But as far as I can tell, the best way to control what it is that you have is to keep your ownership and let it be worth whatever it's worth. And when it comes to art, especially in this era, listen to Chris Brown complain about the sales of the first week. Brother, don't get caught up in what these idiots talking about. Like, as it pertains to art and how it's supposed to be viewed and what matters, that changes every 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are excited about 600,000 units, 500,000 units. Michael Jackson sold like 5 million copies. Like, it's just a different scale now, and it's going to be a different scale tomorrow. And most importantly, people need time to digest music today. There's a lot of good music that people are not aware of at all. At all. And I know this because I do this with music and playlists. There's a lot of bad music out there, so nobody's wrong. Puffy ain't wrong. There's a lot of bad R&B. But if you cipher through enough of it, you will pluck out enough of it to where you find enough good music. And that's what I've done. So it's to where a lot of people are saying it's a lot of bad R&B. I'm like, you ain't found my playlist. If you found my playlist, you see what all you missed. Because I plucked all the good music that I could find out of all the bad music that's been dropped, and I put it all together in a cohesive way. Yeah, check your boy out, BDF, at Apple Music. But nevertheless, this is one of those situations where I'm just saddened by what I've heard tonight. Jazzy Bell being this botched up and ruined, and understanding why it was forced to be done. You know, because Outkast need to get their money, or whomever, however that worked. It's just the streaming era. And it just dawned on me that, there have always been entities that have tried to take black music and either obscure it to make it look like it wasn't done by black people, or as such to make it look like it wasn't as good as it was. Maybe saturate and take certain things from it, make it sound as if that sound came from somewhere else. This has been happening to us for a long time in this country. And so to see this angle comes from that concern, from understanding that. Is why I was able to see this. It's like, yo, if I'm listening to this music and this is the only version I can find, then that's probably gonna be the only version we can find for a very long time, if not forever. Like, that's all that's gonna be left. These bad versions of these songs. And as people's ear continue to get more and more evolved, as music continues to evolve, as more music gets dropped on top of the music that's already here, in the future, a lot of the great music that we appreciated won't be understood as great music and will be out-saturated by the great music that's coming after it. Or even worse, the bad, popular, high, inflated, numbered, music. You know what it is. What do they call them things? Farms? Where they just keep a bunch of machines in there and just load up on the numbers. It's one of those situations where it's like, I don't even believe half of the artists that they say are really, really doing well are actually really doing well. I don't think they are. Some of them, you can see the energy behind the artist doesn't match the numbers that they're saying. People ain't excited to listen to them. It's not an organic feel to some of their hype, right? But yet their numbers are inflated to high hell. It's like, nah, they're not moving like that. They're not. You know what an artist looks like when they're selling 150 units. That person ain't doing like that. But it's one of those situations where it's like, you see, it's one of those situations where we understand. In the music business particularly, in that particular art form, it's always been cutthroat. It's always been almost as bad as boxing in terms of it being fixed and all of that nonsense. And it's in need of a revolution, man. The music business is in need of a serious revolution. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not accepting this. I want my music back. And I'm telling every artist and I'm telling every entity out there buying music, I want the originals back. As a consumer, this isn't gonna make me want to listen to that music. You need to understand this going forward. If y'all gonna do this to the music, we're not gonna listen to it. The songs died. They will never be heard again. It's almost like you got canceled. There's a lot of R. Kelly music that ain't never gonna get played again. You understand? The music died. It doesn't exist anymore. So too will your songs if you're doing this. It must be understood. You're not gonna benefit from this. The people ain't gonna listen to that garbage, man. I will not be listening to that. So this needs to be understood. As y'all sell your music, if you to cash out and get your money, and you let these people do this to your music, or if you decide to do this to your music, you're killing the music. People won't stream it. So you're not gonna get your money anyway. That's what, if you're looking for the streams to help you make money, people will not stream bad versions of your music. That's essentially what I'm here to say. My name is BDF 44, and I thank you all for watching.